What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Resto Shaman this time, doing some 2v2 with Plum on his Windwalker. This is from Season 4, and we have been playing a ton of MoP Remix, so we haven't been queuing a whole lot here lately. This was right after we did a session on the Holy Paladin and DK. We wanted to play like a stronger comp. So this first match is against a Affliction Warlock and a Resto Shaman. Kind of what we want to do is just make sure we win the mana war. So you're going to see me using a bunch of lava bursts in this one. So there's the Warlock's kind of big burst in the opener. Grounding is really powerful for us in this one. Also, the fact that we have a Mortal Strike and they do not have a Mortal Strike. You're going to see me shear the Warlock quite a bit here. So this Fear was not quite DR'd on Plum, so I did dispel him. He gets feared again, and that's okay. We have all the pressure, and I'm pretty much full mana. I'm also running the Mana Tide Totem, so if I get behind, I can lay that and get even more mana. So over here, the Resto Shaman is trying to juke, then he realizes I don't have Wind Shear up. I do get hexed here, but he's on me, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm not going to interrupt or ground a lot of hexes because they'll just break with all the dots and damage that are on me. So right here, I ran the wrong way, didn't get that lava burst, and I'm trying to use my static field. We're both just kind of using the static field, so I'm kind of trapping the Warlock in that static field. I'm going to LOS for a second while that hex was on me. Plum does get stunned. I do ground right there, the soul swap, which is really good. There's his Oblivion, and I do get some healing going out here, and you're going to see me let Plum get a little bit low because, again, I'm just going to play really aggressive in this one. Like, I'm going to be doing a lot of lava burst, and I'm not super worried about, Plum getting chunked because he does have a lot of defensive as his Windwalker. So right here, I'm kind of just trying to LOS the Shaman so I can get the full value out of that Lightning Lasso. Still just kind of spamming Lava Burst. He's going to cast Soul Rot. I'm going to try and ground it, and I did ground the Soul Rot there. I'm going to lay my Earthen Wall and just kind of stand in it because he is doing a little bit of damage to me. So apparently I didn't have Curse Dispel for this match. It was just really bad. You really want to take Curse Dispel versus this. I change it out typically between matches, and I just didn't change it out for this one. So kind of unfortunate. I really wanted Curse Dispel here because it's pretty important. But we end up doing okay. It looks like he's going for the Hex on Plum. He does shear me at the last second on my Lava Burst. I'm going to Lightning Lasso him. It's super DR'd, so probably not the greatest Lightning Lasso. Plum does kick the Fear there. I have my Wind Shear back up, and we just have like all the pressure. You can even see on our mana difference right here. I do shear his Soul Rot at the very last second. They do the Link. I'm going to try and stun on top of it while Plum kills the Link. We get the stun, and we are just doing, tons of damage. I'm going to lay our Earthen Wall so we can both kind of just stand in it right here. And it looks like we are going to get him into Touch of Death range and take him down. So kind of a favorable matchup in our favor. So we did start at 2k MMR for this session, and by the end of the session we got up to like 2100 MMR. So this next match is against a Holy Priest and a Boomkin. We lost this one when we were on the Holy Paladin and the Death Knight, which was kind of sad because they were much lower MMR than us. We lost like a lot of MMR on that, so this was kind of, I don't know, kind of sweet revenge here. So I did try and ground some of the Boomkin's opening pressure. The Priest is just spamming Holy Fire. I did pop my wall there because they are going on me. He does clone me, and it looks like Plum incapped the Boomkin, and he's kind of just hitting the Priest here. There's the Chastise stun, so this is kind of what we're worried about here, if they can take down Plum in a Chastise stun, but it looks like we're getting a ton of pressure right here. They don't have but one range interrupt, so I can get the full value out of the Lightning Lasso here, because all he has is Root Beam, and it has a pretty long cooldown. So it looks like he actually had it up for that though, so he could have stopped that Lightning Lasso. That probably would have been the play. So right here I do get Root Beamed. I am going to Trinket it, and I'm going to split them away from each other. So the Boomkin is now really low, and he is split from his Priest, and we're just trying to keep the pressure up. I do go ahead and lay grounding right there because that was some of the Boomkin's damage, and we do just take down the Priest. He's not able to live. through that. I'm not sure. I must have missed if he went Angel Form or anything like that, but we got the win on that one. This next one, I believe, was a mirror. I just put this one in here because it was really short, and it kind of just goes to show you, like, if your opener is better than the other team. So it is a mirror, and Plum's going to go in here. He does get the double leg sweep. I'm going to lay my stun over there and try and stun the Windwalker again. I do stun the Shaman now, and we are almost going to get him into touch of death range, and I'm actually trying to move the Windwalker over there so he can't link, and we do take him down right there in the opener. So kind of some crazy burst with this one. I just thought it was funny since, you know, your opener's really important in some of these mirror matchups, just with how many cooldowns you use. So the last match, I believe, is going to be a Preservation Evoker and a Balanced Druid. So this match was actually really tough for us. We had a crazy good win ratio on this session. I think we went like, I don't know, 14-1 and something like that. And the match that we lost was definitely winnable. I kind of just zoned out and we ended up losing it. So he does Emerald Communion in the opener there, which is really good for us because that's one of his major healing cooldowns. It also restores mana to him. So with how long this lasts, though, it'll probably end up being back up. It's really hard to hit either one of these targets as a Windwalker, you know, so I think Plum's going to focus on hitting the Boomkin here. I'm going to try and purge up a little bit. It's really tough to win a mana war versus a Preservation Evoker because when they do disintegrate, they get back some mana, so you're going to see me try and shear some of the disintegrates and stuff like that over, you know, shearing some of the Living Flames, which you might think, oh, well, the Living Flame does healing, but just trying to win the mana war can be more important. And I also want to make sure I'm keeping up Water Shield in this matchup. So right here we are getting some good pressure. I accidentally procced his Aura Mastery thing there, and it looks like Plum is going to swap to the Preservation Evoker. I do get silenced. I'm going to Trinket the Root Beam, kind of the most important thing here. They can sleep off this. He gets the stun, and I do get cloned off of it instead. So you can kind of see like the crazy CZ chain. Like Preservation Boomkin is pretty decent 2's comp. I wouldn't say it's a top 2's comp because it probably loses to like the apex predators of, you know, Hunter Priest and Warrior Shaman and stuff like that. So right here he is going for the clone. I do have shear, but I go ahead and shear the Wrath. He locks my Lightning Lasso with his interrupt, so they don't have any kind of interrupt for a little bit. So I'm gonna pop my grounding here just to try and ground some of his spells. It looks like he got precog again, the little Aura Mastery, and now Plum is swapping to the Preservation Evoker, just kind of trying to get him to use mana. So you can kind of see we're a little even on mana. It's way different than the Holy Paladin, where I can kind of hang with mana. I haven't popped Mana Tide yet, so I still have Mana Tide. I think I was calling here for Plum to maybe pop a defensive. I was a little sketched out, so he does get really low here, and he does Karma. So we overlapped one defensive there, but it ends up being okay, because again, like, Windwalker has a bunch of short cooldowns, or semi-short defensive cooldowns that he can kind of rotate through, and he can also run like Leia's Port and just run if we need to. So right here Plum is getting the dragon really low. The Boomkin does clone him off, which is kind of the issue with us going for the dragon. If the Boomkin couldn't peel, we would just focus the dragon the entire time instead of kind of swapping around. You can see the dragon kind of casting Disintegrate here, and this is kind of a heavy dampening match here, so I may go for a static field. I may should have gone for a hex there instead of that. I'm trying to stun them both. So I do get the double stun on them, and I'm trying to just throw out Lava Burst so I don't fall too behind on mana. Poking my head out, and anytime, you know, Plum gets cloned like this, really what I want to do is just go run and LOS. And maybe even sometimes go for a drink if it's a full clone and Plum doesn't have Trinket, or he doesn't want to waste Trinket. Stuff like that. So right here, I do get my Mana Tide down before his Emerald Communion is back up. So we get Emerald Communion again, and again, that's going to give him back some mana as well. Accidentally broke Plum's incap there, so that was really unfortunate. I didn't know he was going to incap. I don't remember whether we were in Discord for this session or not. but sometimes that just happens. Like I'm trying to throw out flame shocks kind of as much as I can. So we see Plum get cloned. I'm going to run behind the pillar and just LOS while he's getting cloned. So I have laid Mana Tide now because I kind of saw that we were falling behind on mana. Just trying to keep up Earth Shield. And I really need to be tossing out these lava bursts a little bit more often. So right here, Plum is doing some pretty big damage to the Boomkin. Boomkin, again, is just spamming clone. I'm trying to ground here because here comes a little bit of his damage. He's doing damage to both of us. And Plum does go ahead and Karma there. And it looks like I used my Aura Mastery as well. So we're getting into pretty heavy dampening here. I don't have Trinket for this root beam, so it gets really sketchy because Plum doesn't have Karma anymore either. So maybe this would be a good time to run here. So Plum pops double defensives, eye grounding, and I'm just trying to pick him up as best as I can. Again, they don't have really an interrupt, so besides like the dragon and the a short cooldown interrupt is what I mean. So I lightning lasso the Preservation Evoker, and you can see the Boomkin kind of just spamming heals. Looks like Plum's gonna hit the Preservation for just a second, and I'm still trying to pick him up. It's kind of putting me in an awkward position, but we are, kind of officially ahead on mana now. And it looks like the Boomkin's kind of trying to do a little bit of pressure here. I do like grounding. He bashes me, and I'm gonna Thunderstorm away, try and stop the clone. I probably should have waited for him to cast. And when I Thunderstorm, that way it goes like an interrupt instead of what I did there, where I just tried to knock him away. He is going to root beam me, and I do not have Trinket for this one, so it just kind of means that my last Trinket wasn't that great. They're going to swap to me here. I'm going to pop my grounding and just kind of try and get to the pillar so I can LOS for a second. And again, I'm winning on mana at this point. It looks like his Emerald Communion isn't quite back up yet. It's going to be coming up really soon though, so he's going to get a little bit of mana back if he Emerald Communions right as it comes up. And we are like really deep into dampening, so it's all about just kind of doing damage at this point. Like whatever Plum can hit, he's going to be hitting, and they're going to be trying to CC and like run away and save. So I'm going to pull them back out away from the pillar. And Plum now should be completely DR'd on clones. I'm going to try and stun them both, but they did actually get out of that cap stun. And now I'm just trying to do damage to the Preservation Evoker. Like, again, anything at this point, whenever dampening's this high, it's just all about damage. Now they're going to swap to me and try and burn me here, so I'm going to go LOS for just a second, because this is a lot of their cooldowns, so it gets really sketchy. It looks like Plum did go ahead and offensively Karma there, or I guess you could call it defensive. But yeah, kind of a crazy match. Hope you guys enjoyed these. I've got some more Holy Paladin videos in the works, and yeah, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, all that jazz. Helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.